happening. Well, I don't like to be super short.
I know. Just saying.
Maybe you should step on a soapbox.
Oh, now I need a stool.
Maybe now you need a soapbox. Hello. Good morning. Good morning, Starlight. I'll just back up a little bit. Starlight, star bright, first star I see tonight.
This is...
That's my jazz.
It's starting to feel like one of those morning talk shows.
It is. It's The Real Deal with Doug and Heidi McGrath.
Yeah. Remember, what was the one with Will Ferrell and...
man, I used to want to live in an SNL. I used to want to do SNL skits. I used to make
Morning, George, but they were so stupid.
Yeah, do you remember Sweaty Balls, the radio?
The Sweaty Balls, yes, I do.
That was
they had a couple other ones. They had not only the hot
George.
Sweaty Balls.
Okay, well, now we've gone too far.
We've gone too far. It's already passed. It's just
Monday,
started.
We already
went too
hot
far.
Sweaty Balls.
Morning, Ross.
It's only 6:30 in the morning, and we've already said Sweaty Balls.
Yeah, it's a nice recipe.
It's kind of what we're feeling today. Yeah. So, listen, I unplugged this weekend. Do you do that? Do you take like a social media hiatus on the weekends? I started doing that, and I have to tell you, it's really life-changing. And the point isn't because like I miss everybody and I miss checking in with everybody, but the thing is that whenever you're in your life and you're anesthetized in any way, shape, or form, whether it's being drunk or a little high or a little zoned out with like Amazon shopping or whatever it is, distracted, social media for me became a distraction, and I was less involved in my own life. So whatever activity I was doing, I found I was like scrolling.
Yeah, I'd be like, mommy.
So, no, it wasn't.
Mommy.
Are you kidding me? Oh my God, you're making me sound terrible. No, it really wasn't like that.
No, it was more honey.
Yeah, I did it with you, not with Ellie. No. So anyway, I just decided, okay, I'd had enough of being distracted. And so I just spend the weekends now as like a cell-free zone. I just don't have any interaction with it at all. And it was really interesting because I found like my weekend was so much longer, right?
A good way?
Yeah, in a good way. But like we don't
so much longer.
No, but here's the thing.
Gosh.
Here's the crazy thing. Like we don't think that we have enough time. And we talked about this last week about time, but hours can go by and you're Googling things or like looking at,
Well, let's see if anyone here, have they ever done this? They're scrolling through what they would like to watch.
That's what we talked about last week.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if anyone answered. And you just sat there and just said, I'll watch this soon, and marked it, watch next. But then all the time that you would have had to enjoy whatever it was had passed.
Good morning, John. Good morning, James. Good morning, George. John, James, and George. And John
George's
Boy.
Up at 3:30 a.m.
So today we were going to talk about knowing your purpose, hopefully, or believing in your potential, rather. And knowing your purpose and believing in your potential are intertwined. Mm-hmm. I think when the
truth is, everything we talk about is intertwined.
True. But believing in your potential, like your behaviors will never be better than your belief system, right? So you can't outsmart your beliefs when it comes to your behavior. I mean, you can force yourself into things sometimes, and that's a topic for another time.
Well, no, we'll actually talk about that a little bit because
you can't outperform your beliefs.
Right, but so you can a little bit.
You can.
That's the point of why we challenge ourselves and stretch, because that's how you create confidence builders.
But you can do that. So here's the thing. You can outperform your beliefs when you suck it up and push through and do it anyway. Doesn't matter what you think, it matters what you do. You can have that attitude, but I'll tell you what you'll do if you have that for a real long time. If you constantly feel you're talking yourself into things and you're having to do pep talks and change your state to get you into doing things to overcome your beliefs all the time, you're going to be tired. You're going to be a person that feels overworked all the time. You don't feel like you're living in your true bliss or joy. You feel like you're hustling, overcoming, constantly work. And so that's a strategy that works, but there is a better way. If you cultivate a true belief in your potential and you marry your potential with your passions and your purpose, then you're living in that flow state and you're not having to constantly outperform your beliefs by tricking your mind into doing things you don't think you can do, which is building self-esteem. That's great. But wouldn't it be easier if you could actually cultivate a genuine belief in yourself so that you're not swimming upstream all the time. You're not struggling, you're not striving, you're just in that flow state. And that's really kind of like, a lot of people can't stand Mondays because like they know they have to get back in the hustle. But there's time for hustle and there's time for flow, right? And the magic of life is learning how to navigate both of those things.
Right.
And part of being in the flow of life is knowing your true potential and living inside of your potential.
Right. And I wasn't denying that. I'm just suggesting, like, when you go to the gym, you have to push yourself a little bit. The reason why we do breakthroughs is that your brain, in order to break through some of those beliefs, you have to shake it up. So the idea of creating confidence builders. I mean, the truth is that every millionaire that I've ever spoken to, and I'm very curious about what it takes, because that's a measurable success that everyone has a potential to experience. Every single one of them has said the first million was the hardest. And it wasn't because of the work they had to do, but it was the belief that they had in themselves in order to be able to do it, the belief in the possibility of it. And the way that would happen, though, is a little bit over time, is they would have some confidence builders. They would try something new. They would break outside of whatever their patterns were. And then that would give them a confidence builder, like, ooh, okay, and start to question those beliefs. And that's the only thing I'm saying, is that the ability to challenge yourself in those moments when there's that little voice in your head, and we all have it, going, oh, I don't know, right? And then still following through, then that shuts that voice down, and then you go, what else is possible? And that's part of the growth process, and that's how you expand even your potential. Because here's the other thing, we have unlimited potential, don't we? I don't believe that there's anything we can't do necessarily. So how do we get to that point? Is by continuing to experience new things and expand our potential.
I'm glad you said that. Unlimited potential. This is what creates the problem for us, okay? So we believe we have unlimited potential, and we do. Like, theoretically speaking, we do. We can do anything that we really want to do, but there are very few things in your life and in my life and in your life that we do very well that are in our particular zone of genius. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that we can do when we're living in our potential is actually shrink down that vision a little bit. And I know we're possibility thinkers, so we want to go really high. But it's like, if everything's possible, then nothing is possible, right? So the first thing is focusing in on, so your potential. I could have the potential, like John Maxwell always talks about, anybody can do anything, right? If you work hard enough and you're self-disciplined enough at it, we can all do it. But if I start out at saying, I want to be, a computer programmer, right? And I have the potential to do that. And it's true, I do. I have the potential to do it, to learn it and to know it. But it's not in my natural giftedness. It's not in my natural abilities. It's not in my wheelhouse of things that come easily to me.
Do you even enjoy it? My
natural strengths, my natural abilities, and I don't enjoy it. So I think that's what we're trying to talk about today, right? Is like, so in my natural giftedness or my abilities or my strengths, I'm maybe like a 3 in computer programming, but I could work my butt off and I could become like a 7. Right. And maybe I'm a 7 in that. So I'm never really truly fulfilled, because
you're a 10.
There's more of a longing. Thanks, Eddie. There's more of a longing for something else. Right. I still kind of feel like, I'm not in my zone of genius. But if I say, all right, what's my truest potential? And I marry my strength zone. Some of you are in jobs that anything is possible. So you kind of worked your way up or worked your way in or whatever. And you're not really in your zone of genius and your truest potential, your God-given kind of destiny potential. So let's take a look at, what are my natural abilities and talents? What do I do effortlessly? What are the things that I've been gifted with, right? That I have an insight to or an understanding that most people kind of maybe miss. And what's my history? What's my background? Because as you know, your past is a big part of your purpose. Your purpose is in your pain a lot of the time, the struggles that you've had and overcome. And so what's my strength zone? For me, my purpose and my potential, my purpose is teaching. Right? I know that for sure. It's my natural inclination. I read something, I want to teach it. I learn something, I want to teach it. And that's just how I roll. So Now I need to work in the area of my giftedness, right? And that is the work that we put in. And when we marry all these things, and I'm honing my skills and I'm refining and I'm learning and I'm becoming better and better at my strength zone. Now I started off as a 7 in my strength zone, but now I'm doing what Doug's saying, and I'm working in my potential even more, building my esteem. Now I'm a 10. And now I'm in my flow state, right? Where I can do this without thinking. It's like the dancer doing the dance or the dance doing the dancer. You can't tell the difference, right? And so how about you? Are you living in your strength zone today? Are you in a position where you are in your area of giftedness, your background, your natural ability? If you're not, life's going to be hard, right?
Well, and the other thing on that too is when we talk with business people, well, and actually everyday life, we know what we're good at, and then there are things that we're not so hot at. Maybe we may be a 3. We could figure out, but probably better to hire somebody. Like,
Yeah.
You got a problem. Like, I could probably change a toilet, but I probably won't do as good a job. I could figure it out. I could YouTube it. But here's what I know. It's not going to be as good as a job. It's not going, now I might learn along the way, but it may have some leaks. It's going to take me a really long time. I'm probably going to have to redo it a few times. I'll probably end up being frustrated. I would have wasted precious time that I could have been doing other things.
In your strength zone, in
Right.
your area of genius.
In business,
Yeah.
same thing. Delegate, right? You got to find where's your strength. So for Heidi and I, obviously the teaching, the speaking, the enrolling, the conversation is a strength zone. There are areas of our life that not so good. Like, we could and
edit our videos.
So
be more professional in
Yeah.
our studio setup.
Yeah, things like that. We're now, here's the thing though. That's not stopping us, right? We're still doing what we have to do at the moment. So when we get inspired, like you may have noticed, did a quick little edit for when we had a little chat about sex. And we kind of put that little clip up there, and that was my hack job, and that's okay too, right? That's the other thing, is that it's okay
Doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah, there's going to be times when you're going to have to do it. Now, by the way, the more we do some of the things we need to improve, the more we're going to be able to communicate our needs to a professional as well. Because here's another challenge: if we were to just allow someone to do their thing without knowing what we want and what you want, you may end up then getting something you don't necessarily want because you don't know how to communicate it, if that makes sense.
I remember so you were working for Tony Robbins,
Mm-hmm.
and I was creating matchmakers. I was teaching people how to become matchmakers and dating coaches and certifying them. And we partnered up to go work in the treatment industry. And when we first got in there, the owner was like, what am I going to do with you? To me, right? Now, Doug was going to run groups already and do everything. And I had zero experience at all. Okay. I had no experience. I'd worked in a residential treatment facility for youth with children when I was studying psychology, but it was so long ago. So we got in there and he goes, I'm going to put you in marketing, right? Now that makes a lot of sense because it looks like I know how to talk to people and I can do,
and you're easy on the eyes.
Well, thank you, sweetheart. Maybe that was a motivator.
That was part of it, I'm sure.
But so then I go, okay, so it's not up to other people to know my potential. It's not up to them to believe and see what's possible for me. It's up to me to know what my true potential is and then communicate that to the people who can actually help put me in the position, right? Or I help put me in the position. So I had no business saying, I want to run groups. I want to come in here and I want to be leading groups. I mean, they had master level clinicians doing that. They had, psychologists running the groups. I'm a life coach. What do I know to come in there and run groups? But I knew my potential was a teacher. Okay. And I wasn't going to let the story in my head about, oh, well, I'm not qualified to do this, or I don't really know, because you don't start qualified. You become qualified as you continue to do it. And then you apprentice and then you get even better. All I needed was a shot, an opportunity for somebody to see my potential. And then I could hone and sharpen my axe or my skills. So I would go to him and say, I really feel like I could run it, and the doctor who was in charge there was so wonderful. He believed in my potential as well. And I think it's because I was so confident in my potential. I would sit in his office and I'd be like, I know I can do this. I got this. I see the whole vision. I'm just going to go run with it. Okay, I'll be doing it. And he'd be like, okay, So I started running the groups, and then lo and behold, I had like 10 groups a week that I'd be running. And then the clients would say, oh, those are some of my favorite groups, and wow, I really love coming in. And then year after year, we were winning the clinical award over the psychiatrists or over the therapists who were doing the same kind of work, right? So that wasn't up to anybody else to look at me and say, oh, I think you can do this thing over here. Let me give you your shot. Like a lot of you are just waiting to be found, right? Or waiting for your shot, or somebody to see your potential, or somebody to like come in and like find you or discover you. But that's not how this works. You have to discover you. You have to find you, and you have to be the one to say, I know I can do this, and create the way where there doesn't seem like a way.
And that's when you get discovered.
And that's when you get discovered. And the
that's
crazy
what people buy
thing is,
into.
What I've heard is people that are really uber successful, like speakers and coaches that have really like written bestsellers, they say all the time, nobody wanted to help them until they became really successful. And then everybody wants to come in and be a part of it, right?
Yeah.
So you can't expect other people to see your potential or believe in you. You have to be your own biggest fan, and you have to know. Now it's important before I would go into the doctor and the psychologist and say, oh yeah, I think I can do this work, this clinical work. I have no basically credentials behind me to be doing the level of clinical work that I'm doing. But I was so secure and confident in my skill set, in my wheelhouse.
And it was also the consistent education and
constantly learning and constantly
it wasn't like
my
one day we
and
were
I
like,
went
hey,
to him and I said, you know who the best of the best here is? And I shout him out all the time. Phil Diaz, who wrote the book, The 12 Steps for Adult Children. He's with NACOA. He's written books about adult children of alcoholics. I said, he's the best there is here, next to my husband, who I already knew what he was about, right? I said, let me apprentice under him. So I would sit in his groups and I would start to speak out. I didn't wait for Phil to go, hey, Heidi, do you have an opinion? I would raise my hand and offer something to clients. And soon, within weeks, I was co-facilitating with him. And then he could see my potential. And then, so what are you doing today? Are you going into a situation where you're waiting to be noticed? You're waiting for somebody to put you in the right place? Stop waiting, right? Where you have to create the opportunity by being in a knowing place of what you bring and what you offer. And your job isn't to talk people into things. It's to live in your strength zone. And here's that great quote, Steve Martin, be so great, they can't ignore you. Be so freaking good, they can't ignore you. And that's part of living in your strength zone. There's a lot of people who want to be coaches that will come and watch our videos because they go, don't know what I'm going to make a video about, right? And so they come and get inspiration. Maybe video is not your shtick, man. Maybe video is like not your best thing, okay? And you get on the video and you're like, oh, hello, everybody. Yeah, and you're like, you get stuck and you're like,
public speaker.
Yeah, like we can help you. We can help.
Joining us today. We'll be talking about excitement.
Yeah, I had a math teacher like that once who used to touch himself with chalk on his fingers and get like chalk marks on he was disgusting. Okay. But anyway, I digress. So I hate math. So
much better now.
You can hone your skills, right? And either one of two paths. You can get really clear on your message and what you're out there to say, and then be so confident in your message you don't care what it looks like, that your lighting's off and you're not professional. Or you can say, no, I'm confident in my message. It's the delivery it's the conduit that's not working out. Let me write. Maybe writing is my thing and videos really aren't my thing. And you don't have to do it like everybody else.
And that's not to say, because Annette here is saying, it's equally important to work on something you're less strong at the same time to build overall value. Absolutely. We're not suggesting don't. So like what Heidi's sharing, maybe you're better at writing. That doesn't mean ignore video.
No.
That just means get your energy, be like in your flow in that while you're building and growing your confidence and competence in those other areas. That's all. No one's
that
suggesting
you're not,
give up.
And you're not in your strength zone where you're doing things that drain your battery all day long, right? Whenever I was working in the weight loss industry, this company, LA Weight Loss, I was director of franchise development. And when somebody would buy an LA Weight Loss, they would buy like the potential for 15 or 20. And I would go into that market and grow it, meaning hire, fire, train, staff, get them right and make it successful. And so I had been doing that and living in living on the road and building this big market up, and then was kind of running itself. And the owner felt like it'd be better to have me behind closed doors, writing new diet plans. And I remember thinking, well, this is a really good gig. I really shouldn't complain, because month earlier, I had been the motivator on the floor and doing director of sales and having everybody encouraging and speaking and training and doing what I love to do. But he just was like, well, you got it to a point where you've trained everybody so well, it's running itself. Okay. Yeah. And that's a good thing to do. But I still wasn't living in my strength zone. So I started to feel depressed. I started to feel anxious. Yes, honey. Okay, honey. And that's when I said it was up to me to say, I'm not in my strength zone. I understand where we need to be, but now I need to move on. Right. And create another opportunity to build it from the ground up. And
Ellie's got to share her whatever she's watching. So actually, that reminds me of a story that's somewhat tangential, as it were, with what Heidi was just sharing with the owner of that franchise of the LA Weight Loss. Is they got to a point that it was doing okay, and all of a sudden they didn't want to lose her, but they felt like they had it, right? They got it. So it reminds me of a story. So one day there was this person running late for a job interview, and they kept saying, like, God, praying, because they're running late. Please, just get me a parking spot, please. Right, driving around looking for a spot. Please, I'm running late. I'll do whatever it takes. Just please, I got to get into this interview. Blah blah blah. Praying for this spot, right? And then about to give up, and then finally a spot opens. Okay, and then the guy goes, "Oh, never mind, God, found one."
You want to do it?
And that's a little bit of the idea of people. Sometimes we forget what it took to get there. We forget sometimes the things that we did, the people that supported us, and then we think we've got it, when really that's when we need to keep that momentum, that energy going.
Amen, Daddy.
I'm getting for diamond.
No. That's just awkward.
There are diamonds in there, baby, but it's on lockdown.
Okay.
Absolutely, and that we agree. And
come say good morning to your friends.
Give me milk.
Give you milk? Ooh, Ellie. Okay. Anything else?
You want messages of inspiration for the morning? Okay, you could.
All right, you don't have to do it today. All right.
Subscribe to our video and click the red subscribe button and watch more kids videos from
Watch more kids videos?
Yeah, and we will always share our love of you, and always come watch kid videos on Today. Watch us TV videos, and we love who you aren't and who you are.
We love who you aren't and who you are.
Live in your potential.
Live in your potential.
Have a beautiful day.
Have a beautiful day. And today, what
Is that your song?
Love it. Okay.
Okay, say bye-bye.
Bye.
Boom, boom, boom. Poo, poo, poo.
Right. Give him the shoulder.
Poo, 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 poo.
All right. Bye.
Okay, bye.
You don't always have to do shoulders, okay?
No, of course.
Okay, you don't have to always do shoulders. All right, we love you.
Do whatever you want, baby.
Goodbye!